I'll be conducting a short interview to gain more understanding of how heritage has changed from past to present. So where was you born?
I was born in Somalia, but I was raised in Denmark.
Tell me something about yourself.
Currently I'm 19 years old. I'm living at home with my mum, my two little brothers and my little sister.
In the thing you said, you didn't mention your dad. Is that for any reason?
Yeah, my dad left my family when I was quite young actually.
So how was your upbringing like without a father in the household?
It was tough, it was very tough. Obviously I know it must have been tough for my mum because obviously raising 4 kids by herself in a different country must have been hard for her.
So how was her upbringing? What was her like?
I would say it was similar to mine, but she was obviously going through the civil war at that time. But other than me, she had a father and a mother who were supporting her at the same time.
So if you compared your upbringing to hers, what would be the main difference?
I would say opportunities, because over here we've got a lot of opportunities over here, and over there my mum didn't have that many opportunities, obviously because of the funds and things that she couldn't do, like things that she wanted to achieve while she was quite young.
Such as?
I know my mum wanted to go to school, she wanted to go to university, but she didn't have the funds or anything to support her.
So would you say you're lucky to be brought up in this country?
Yeah.
Or would you prefer to be brought up in your own traditional?
I'm definitely lucky.
I believe that my mum and dad have been really important to me in terms of, teaching me about my heritage and my culture and where I'm from. I think that without them, I wouldn't know about who I am exactly, where I'm from. I think I would have, in a way, be in limbo, like not know where I'm from. I would just follow the crowd, basically. Over the years, they've taught me that, about our Dakhan and about food, what types of food that, we are, known for, what our country, where our people, our dance, for example, which there's right of them, which I was very fortunate to be involved in, help out in Independence Day and stuff like that. So yeah, my mum and dad have been really important in my life. They have helped me and nurtured me into actually understanding where I'm from. And without them, I wouldn't know where I'm from, basically.
My father and my mother always told me stuff about my background, where I'm from, my tribe, my people. They've always, given me that sense of belonging, even though that I was in London. So I knew my identity, although I wasn't around my own people. Somalia, Hargeisa is where I'm from. All my family are there, most of them, and that's it.
I know a lot about my heritage and my culture. I learned a lot in there while I was there. There's things like when you go to a wedding, you have sacred. It's not always mixed. People dancing together, so it's sometimes separate. It's very different in the UK because the UK is obviously you have many different cultures. There's Hindi, there's Adan, there's everything. But in Hargeisa, it's not like that. It's mainly Somalis, and because there's mainly Somalis, it's not such. You don't know much about different cultures and different, let's say, religions and stuff. And especially the old people, younger people here. I think younger people feel more like they can do stuff here because there's more westernized. Young people here, they feel a lot more freedom, and compared to over in Hargeisa, for example, you don't. It's not much freedom there. For example, let's say no one goes out during the day really. It's like you're either sleeping or you just work. There it's very strict, but here in England, people take advantage. When you come here from let's say Hargeisa or somewhere like that, you always feel a difference. Like you feel privileged that you have things here that you don't have there. I've got a lot of different friends as well. I have people from different countries like India, even here people from England as well. Everyone's different, and it's good to learn from each other because you start to respect each other a lot more. Let's say if you don't learn about other cultures or other people, then you're not exactly gonna know what's gonna offend them or what's not gonna offend them. So it's always good to learn new people and meet new cultures.
And I'm just here to talk about the Somali culture. And at first it was a bit confusing, but now like we've come to terms to familiarise with it, and like we've started to accept the culture. Before there was a big barrier between the culture back home and the culture here, so it was a bit confusing. But now we've come to terms with it and find it interesting, and hopefully we progress from there. And we've all put it in our mind to go back to Somalia and probably, you know, empower the country.
البحنمدي ما waxay keenaysaa in laga faano wixii dhaqanku ahaa oo inaan dambe xirano soo maradii saddex qaydka ahayd waxay bay belief garaysan tahay marada saddex qaydka inay tiraahdo dhinac baa bay yara qaawano ma rabo oo xawar iska xiranaya funaanad iyo iskuul uniform baa soo baxay iskuuladii baa la dhigtay markaas xidhay baa la yidhi marka ilbaxnimada ayaa had iyo jeer waxay isku yihiin contradiction waa laba ishirdiyaya iska hor imanaya ilbaxnimada iyo dhaqanka way iska hor imanayaan had iyo jeer dagaal bay iskula jireen laakiin waxaa muhiima in dadkii waaweynaa iyo maaragtay dadka maaragtay heritage had iyo jeer shaqaynaya inay ilaaliyaan dhaqankii oo aan laga tegin oo imika tan anigu waan aad baan u support garaysanaya in meel walba dhaqankeeni la keeno waxaa ahaan jiray sida carruurta yar waxa at least u xasuustaan because ma garan karaan waxa jirayba laakiin anigu oo kale waan garanaya wixii jiray.
I was born in Manchester, but I was raised in London. And out of all my friends, I've got a lot of friends that are from Europe and all over the country. So it's a bit different for them when they come here. But I find it like it's home for me here. But obviously with my culture, from my parents and my mum and dad. My mum was raised in Kenya, my dad was raised in Somalia. And the heritage that was over there is slightly different for each and one of them. But their homeland, Somalia, is like the Hindu Dakan, the Sayli'i, the dance and all that kind of stuff. But over here now, as the years progress and like the generation is growing up, it's become more westernized and more west wing, and it's just more modern, and like it's kind of drifting away. But holding on to like that little part of the, you know, Dakan is a bit hard.
Personal opinion wax adag in ilmihii inta isaga oo noloshiisii daad ku tiri noloshaada samayso oo capital society intaad keentay ku tiri capitalismiga baro oo hagaajisan noloshaada haddana ku tiraadid miyigana tag oo soo baro ma xuma inuu barto laakiin ma haleelaya qofka horta laakiin waxa kala tan ilmahan bari kara waa san marka hore kaga dhawaaqin edebta dastuurta dadka la dhaqanka jaarka inuu hagaajiyo wixii dhaqankii waalidkii aan ka dhaxlay hooyadeed ka dhaxashay ina ilmahaygii baro.
If they were born here, if they grew up here all their life and then they suddenly go to Somalia and maybe their language skills aren't that good or that great, a lot of people can feel rejection when they go to Somalia, so people can sort of mock them for not talking Somali properly or not being able to speak Somali properly, or they might not know sort of the customs and the traditions over there properly enough, so they can often feel like they don't belong there, and they might not want to go back, or they can often feel that rejection if they do go back. And I don't think parents understand that enough, and I do think maybe the biggest thing about it is sort of miscommunication between the people in Somalia and the people come from here, because often people in Somalia, they have different ideas of what Western children are like or what the West is like, and sort of they can say things where it doesn't probably mean anything to them, saying things like Dakon Ilis, fish and chips or whatever, but it can create it can create negative feelings in like someone who's especially very young, who's going back for the first time, that sort of they're an outsider and they don't belong.
I was born in Manchester but like raised in London, go to university now, and talking about heritage, I've only been back to hometown once. I went to Somaliland in 2004 when like it wasn't really as good as it is now. Obviously Somaliland has developed now, it's a better country as it is. But you still, from them times, you learn like how different it is to live there, the culture, how it's modernized now, it's westernized. Like you could talk about me, my hair. Someone saw me with this hair there, like they'll grill me quick, like, you know what I'm saying. They'll tell me off quick, and like me, Adam's haircut's fine, but like they'll still tell him off for the slightest of that. No one will like even dare to do it. It's like a crime there. We've got like the skinniest jeans on, we've got less shoes and that, but over there it's like they get a new pair of sandals or something, they'll be happy for it. We've got the best phones, everything in UK, and we should be grateful for it, because there's people in Somaliland doing way worse than we are. And yeah, same as Adam, I've got friends from different cultures like Hindi, Sikhs, all Asians, blacks, everything. We're all together in like one community. But in Somaliland, Somalia, it's only the same people. You only come around Somalia, like they don't really know what it's like to have different cultures around you and how you can change.
I think that there are a lot of differences between our culture and their culture. I recognised that when I went. And not so much when I was a kid. So when I was 8 years old, I sort of blended in, as kids are very resilient anyway. But as an adult, I recognised so many different things between us. I mean, I was very eager to join them and to be one of them, but I was always outcasted. They knew straight off the bat that I wasn't from Hargeisa, even though I was dressed like them, even though I had dire and shalamad and everything on, they still recognised that I was not from there. And on one particular day, I asked this man, I said, how do you know, although I was speaking fully Somali, I said, how do you know that I'm not from here? And he just said, it's because of your accent, it's the way you walk, they can tell straight off the bat when you're not from there. So there are a lot of differences in terms of comparing young people. I think the young people in Hargeisa, Somalia, they are very mature in the sense that they are able to run their lives and a household at a very young age. I feel like here we are all very babied. We're in a Western life where the mother and the father takes care of everything, even up till, you know, you're older. You have that structure at home where they pay the bills, they look after you, they drive you to school, they cook your food. Whereas there, you know, girls as young as 14 have homes, they have husbands, they have babies, and they're able to just literally do things that we couldn't even imagine that we could do. I feel like that's down to where you're from, your environment, what you have to do in life. Older people and the people from here, I feel like there are a lot of things, especially with the older people, that they disagree with us, and we're thinking, why do you disagree? I'll tell you, even my father, he has a lot of notions that I don't understand. He doesn't agree with half the things that I've only picked up out of living here my whole life. It's just natural for me to pick up a lot of Western ideas and ways of living, and that he just doesn't understand. I remember he always says, you know, you don't need friends, why do you go out so much, why do you do this? And then he just goes, it's best to stay with your family. So he's very cultural, he's very, you know, in that way of thinking where they had nothing and they were just playing in the sand. We have a lot more going on here.
waxa muhiimka in ilmaha yar dhaqankiisa la baro ayaa muhiim ah waa hindi dhaqan buu leeyahay salabarka waxa bari kara horta imika wax walba wala nooc asriyay ya internetka wax walba lagu asriyay waxaan jeclahay aabi hooy in half an hour ya TV-ga ilmuhooda way la daawadaan soo maaha half an hour inta la fadhiistaan internetka ee dhaqankii ilmihi interest uga dhigaan sheekooyinka hore uga sheekeeya ayaana lagu jeclaan lahaa.
When the next generation, so for our kids, like my kids, if my parents didn't input the Somali culture that they did for me, then I definitely would not have been able to provide my kids with any of those kind of like information and definitely.
marka koleba problemka meesha jira waxa weeyaan sidii hadii de koleba saa jirtay culture-ka uu si baabacaya dhaqanka uu si baabacaya but generation kan dambe sidii ba loo safe gareyn lahaa. And I think Safia mar hore iyaduna aan hadaladeeda ay ku jirtay in wax loo store gareeyo u baahan tahay at least hadii aan lagu dhaqmi karaynin meelo loogu ururiyo wixii culture-ka iyo dhaqankii caruurtii oo dabeetana ay de arki karayaan taaban karayaan tan waxa loo isticmaali jiray tan sidaas loo oran jiray caynkaas ay ahaan jirtay museum iyo kale ama meelo lagu ururiyo ayaa fiicnaan lahaa laakiin koleba noloshu isbedeshayo
these little sentimental things, like for example, when you wake up in the morning, you get Angela, you eat Biddies on a routine and pasta, so you start to pick up on these little things that's back home, it was generated back home from the culture. Wear ma'roos, so before I would never wear ma'roos in a million years, but I've started wearing ma'roos like last week, so that's something different. And yeah. But plus we need to notice that we, although we pick up the culture, like all the positive things, there's some things that are part of the culture which are negative, like chard and these other things which you can choose to leave alone, which you should leave alone, which damage the culture and stuff like that.
What's the main thing that's changed from our culture?
I think it's just growing up here, we're just getting used to other people, the way other people are living over here.
So would you say the kids prefer the British culture now to our own?
Yeah, I would say, because the British culture seems a lot easier.
Why? Well.
Because there's just like certain things, like there's certain things we could do here. There's a lot easier. Like there's certain things that we want to do, but we can't really do over here because over back in Somalia it's an Islamic country. So yeah.
So what would be your last message if I say to you, just give a message to the people that are watching this interview? What would be the last thing you say to them?
I would just say stick to the Somali roots. That's the most important thing. And just make sure they stick with the Somali traditions.
I feel like there are a lot of identity crises here, definitely 100%, because what you find now is that there's a lot of Somali, or start with teenagers, they find comfort in trying to adapt in other people's culture and their way of living because they don't have maybe good role models, or they don't have it in front of them to know how it is to act Somali. Or so you have these young boys running around with hoodies and they're trying to act like the Jamaicans and the Nigerians and not necessarily living their lives in a way that it should be Islamic, because Somalis are Muslim and we have to have that as much as daqan, as much as we have culture, we need to have deen. And I feel like that is that's where the confusion lies. And in school myself, I had a bit of confusion and identity crisis where I'm trying to be like them, my friends who are white and Indian, I'm trying to mix in with them, but I'm not accepted. I'm trying to mix in with the whites, I'm not accepted. I'm trying to mix in with the blacks and I'm not accepted because they say to me, you're not black, you're light skinned, you have a longer nose, you have nicer hair, so you have nowhere to go. And then you expect, because all you hear from your parents is that your country, Somalia, is beautiful, the people are nice, the people are respectful. So when you go there, you find a lot of people push you away from them because they think that you're just there for daqan alis, or they don't think that you're a whole person. It's really bizarre. They really just don't. So basically you're not accepted here and you're not accepted there. So we're just in the middle somewhere, and it's a very, very hard place to be.
The culture, in terms of culture and heritage, is really different in Dubai compared to the UK. In the UK, in UK it's completely different. It's westernized, you know. A lot of the youngsters in this country, like they have got no clue. Some of them barely speak Somali, like, let alone culture. It's like there's a sense of like they have that sense of belonging to the UK rather than that of Somalia and that of their own culture. When I was in Dubai, I was really young, so I wouldn't remember a lot from there. But coming here and, you know, basically in a way I think that I've grew up here. And the way my family and my mom and dad work is the way they deal with it is that they actually like try and get us to remember where we were from and try and speak Somali in the house rather than speaking English. They hold us and just tell us and, you know, try and inform us that we were born and stuff like that. So in a way I believe that I've got a sense of holding to our culture and our heritage.
Okay, so the differences between the UK and Somalia, and often the troubles that young people might have communicating with older people, their parents are, in Somalia obviously it's quite traditional, it's quite religious, the culture, whereas here I think a lot of young people, they might want more freedoms that they would have been, that they wouldn't have been, that their parents wouldn't have had when they were growing up. And a lot of times they can have difficulties communicating that. And I also think that with the elder generation, because this is a foreign country to them, they can mistrust everything. So they're reluctant to give younger people freedom because they're worried they'll go down the wrong path, and it will interfere with their faith and their religion. So often there's that barrier between elder people and younger people. And also a lot of the younger people here in the UK, the Somalis who grew up and were born here, the youth, a lot of them sometimes might have issues between their culture and growing up here. So they can come under peer pressure, and sort of what happens at school and what they're like at school can conflict with who they are at home and who their parents want them to be when they grow up. So that can create a lot of problems between sort of for young children here. They can it can often maybe lead them down the wrong path towards things like drugs and sort of other things that perhaps like their parents wouldn't want for them. So this can be sort of like a form of like identity clash or like confusion. Also, I think there's maybe not enough communication from older people to younger people about their culture and their heritage. A lot of people can feel quite sort of isolated. A lot of younger people, like if they're at home and they live with their parents, and like their parents might tell them about their culture and their heritage, but they might not have, you know, when they go to school, all their friends might not be, you know, Somali. They might not know, they might be the only Somali person they know, like other than their siblings, so they might not feel like they're part of their own culture, and it might not be communicated effectively enough to them if they're not part of like a wider Somali community. If they don't have contact with that community regularly, then they might not know about sort of their culture and their heritage and where they come from.
When you look at the culture in terms of our dresses, weddings, for example, we wear direts, the females wear direts. Every young girl, even if she does not know Somali, you'll find her wearing one in their wedding. Why? Because we've seen our mothers doing this. We like it, we feel that it's beautiful, so we want to take part in that. Other parts in the culture where it's better for the girl to be at home. Maybe they won't partake in that because they feel like they want to be in the workplace, they want to be outside, they want to do this and this. So in terms of the heritage and culture, I feel like young people, some parts they think it's okay and some parts they don't think it's okay. I think the weddings and the big things in life are done with the culture. Other than that, everybody really lives a Western life as much as they can because it's all they know again.
dadku waxay xulan jireen hortu shay rag waxay qaadan jireen laba go oo maxamuudiya maxamuudas waxa weeyaan dhar cad oo saafi ah oo مثلا hadii aan ku sheego dharkan imka xajka lagu tago kale oo laba go oo midna dusha uu ka wado midna hoosta uu ka xiro macnuus oo kale ayay dadku xulan jireen kabaha hadii aan noqdo beriga kabaha dibadda lagama keeni jirin dadku ayaga tulan jiray waxaana u farabadnaa kabihii asxaabtu iyo ambiyadu ay xulan jireen kabaha la yiraahdo jangari oo aan kala lahayn bidix iyo midig ay gashan jireen goortii dambe markii la ilbaxayna waxay samaysan jireen kaba la yiraahdo cagba cag oo left and right nacaal hoosta lagaga sameeyo nacaalkaas waa bira yar yar oo kuuskuusan oo ilaalinaya mataqaanaa protection ku sameynaya leaderkii laga sameeyay kabaha waxaana ahayd homemade by kabaasi
until you go to sixth form or university or whatever is with you. You live it every single day, the British culture. Having to go eat fish and chips or whatever you can call it. But it's it does surround you every single day. You live it every day without even know it. I think teenagers do learn it, or whatever, youngsters or whoever, they learn it every single day. They live it. It's basically part of their lives because they live here. The other question I wanted to touch upon was how can youngsters learn about their culture or heritage? I think there's a lot of opportunities for them to get involved. Personally, I got involved doing Somali dances, which me and Adam have been involved, which was really helpful. We learned a lot of things that we didn't really know about our country or our culture, the way they dance, some things that we never heard of, riwayat and stuff like that. So that was new. So there is a lot of opportunity. If you're willing to push yourself to actually get involved, then there is opportunities or chances for you to actually learn about your culture and your heritage.
There are more resources now for the heritage, for like our Dakhan to be more powerful than it was a couple of years ago, because obviously I was raised here and all the schools that I went to, I was always one of the only Somali kids. But then obviously when I entered high school and I reached the further last of my years, year 10, year 11, like the culture and a lot of Somali people, they entered the country. So I think as a people we came together like very slowly and together, and after a while obviously we all got together, made communities. Now there's a lot of Somali communities, and I think the more that goes on and the more that people see that we are actually doing something, and all together we can definitely progress forward.
waxaan anigu dadka kula dardaarmi lahaa jiilka iga dambeeyay iyo wixii dee iman doonaba in aynu xoojino dhaqankeennii hore oono imika waxaan arkaa inuu sii dabargo-aye inaanu inaga dabargo inaynu ku dheganaano aynu intaa imika maanta aynu hayno iyo in ka badanba inaynu haddii alla idhaa isu keenno ayaanaanu kusoo gebagabaynaa.
So what would what if you was to give that give that one word to the people watching the interview right now about our heritage? What was that one thing you say to them?
I wouldn't really give them a message. I would say instead of living in one culture, the British culture, try to go back to your own, because your mother lived through her heritage. Her dad and her mother taught her stuff, and her parents taught her stuff. So she taught me stuff, which I live on a daily basis. So if I had to tell young people something, I would say, don't look at yourself, look at what your parents do, and then from there you just take it on and be a better person.
Into